good morning. You're watching Newsx and I'm Shivani Singh. In a thrilling final, Harmanpreet Kaur's India women's team won their maiden ICC Women's ODI World Cup, defeating South Africa by 52 runs. Batting first, India piled up 298 for 7 in 50 overs. Shafali Verma blazed 87 of 84 balls, while Harmanpreet and Smriti Mandhana proved crucial stability. South Africa fought back with Laura Woolward's classy 76, but Deepti Sharma spun a web, taking 5 for 39, her best in a World Cup final, to bowl them out for 246 in 45.3 overs. The journey was tough. 3 group stage losses, but India roared back. They beat New Zealand via DLS, then stunned defending champions Australia in the semi-finals with the highest successful chase in women's ODI history, which is 339. Deepti Sharma was named player of the tournament for all her all-round brilliance. India pocketed a $4.48 million, the richest prize in women's cricket. Tears, hugs and history. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called it a spectacular win. Fans chanted "Chak India" across the nation. Joining me via the phone line is my colleague Yash Ahuja, who's going to give us some more details about how this entire spectacular match actually unfolded. Yash, please tell us how India clinched its maiden World Cup title in women's cricket.
Indeed, a good morning, Shivani. India has won, Indian women in fact have won their first maiden ODI World Cup, their first maiden ICC title in fact. This is a moment that will echo through the annals of Indian sport. Harmanpreet Kaur led Indian women cricket team and they've etched their names in immortality. They've defeated South Africa by 52 runs. And it was a formidable South African team, mind you. It was a team that was winning matches on matches. So let's just go through the match. Let's just see how the match went through. Batting first after winning the toss, India posted a commanding 298 for 7 in 50 overs. Now this is the second highest total in a women's ODI World Cup final. Our opener Shafali Verma set the tone with a blistering 87 runs of 84 balls. She blended the audacious stroke play with maturity, while Captain Harmanpreet Kaur anchored the innings. It is when you are opening at a big stage, at a final which is very important, it is always imperative to have one fire power and one very mature, very stable power, and that is what Shafali and Harmanpreet Kaur gave us. The middle order, including contributions from Smriti Mandhana and Jemimah Rodriguez, ensured that the momentum carried through despite some late wobbles. South Africa, chasing a big 299, started strongly with Captain Woolward's elegant 76, and Woolward was amazing throughout the tournament. But the road to glory wasn't smooth. India endured 3 losses in the league stage, and it is a rarity for eventual champions, but they rebounded spectacularly. A rain-affected 53-run DLS win over New Zealand secured their semi-final spot, followed by a washed-out match against Bangladesh. The semi-finals, we've covered semi-finals intensively, we've talked about semi-finals intensively, and the semi-finals against defending champions Australia was the stuff of legends. India scripted the highest successful chase in women's ODI history, overhauling 339s to stun the Aussies and book their final date. Now, Indian women have been rejoicing the win for a nation where women's cricket has long battled for a spotlight amid the men's game shadow. This triumph is transformative. It signals India's ascent as a global powerhouse, with Shafali Verma's semi-final heroics returning from domestic duties to claim thing is clear. The women in blue didn't just win a cup, they have ignited a revolution. Back to you.
Right. Yash, I think it was a very memorable, I think, game for India. You have to remember that this is a squad that has been struggling, in fact, to get that, World Cup. They had two other, heartbreaks in 2005, then in 2017, and now finally they actually have realized their dream. And they are only the fourth country to in fact clinch that World Cup title in the ICC cricket. So that's a big feat that we have achieved.
Yeah, yes, Shivan, it is a big feat indeed. As we've talked about it, the road to glory wasn't smooth. We started with 3 losses in the league stage, and Jemimah Rodriguez after the semi-finals also said that those 3 losses gave her, those 3 losses made her a little adamant about what's going to happen in the future. What does the future of this tournament hold? And in the end, women in blue have secured the win. They've made it to the big stage. Now, post-match emotions flooded the field. Captain Harmanpreet Kaur, who took the final catch herself. So this is also a very iconic moment from the match, that it was Captain Harmanpreet Kaur who took the final catch. And we were seeing throughout the tournament that our women in what this meant to our women in blue. She broke down in tears along with Smriti Mandhana, and it reflected on a heartbreak past. She also said post-match that every World Cup we had so many heartbreaks, but we believed in our responsibility to women's cricket, and she proved it. Our women in blue proved it. There have been a lot of reactions coming in, a lot of photos, a lot of videos coming in, and we will take a look at it one by one. Back to you.
Absolutely. I think one must remember that it was just an absolute stunner, that victory, 52 runs, and we defeated one of the favorites over there. It would have been South Africa's, it would have been the other opposition team's first World Cup title as well. But India made history yesterday, clinching that title, and our girls, women in blue, in fact, only the 4th team to win that ICC Women's Cricket trophy after Australia, England and New Zealand. And this is for the first time in history that India's women had conquered this cricketing world. But you have to remember that it is a squad that has been toiling. They have put in a lot of hard work. They are trying to, prove their mettle. And we saw, in fact, in that semi-final, that spectacular play by Jemimah Rodriguez also. And now in this final play, we have so many others. The entire team actually contributed to that win. And obviously, like my colleague has been pointing out, a lot of emotions overflowing over there after lifting that trophy. Joining me on the broadcast is Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and also an absolute pleasure to discuss this spectacular win.
I'm not just a former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry. I'm also a former national and Asian tennis champion. Therefore, I am now speaking as a sports girl at the moment, not as somebody who's been in the service. So let me say how thrilling this has been. And it clearly sends one message, that when the establishment and the right selection happens and the support system is in place, families continuing to be positive, you get these victories. All these are very components of such victorious days. Family, establishment, political and organizational leadership, and the girls themselves or the players themselves. It brings you victory. It's a focus. So, and also second point, which is revealing, is that investment into girls, early investment into girls pays. All you need is these four components. And if India has to be an empowered nation, it must make sports essential for girls in schools. If we do that, India will be a sporting country as well, because these girls will be hungry to win, hungry to achieve. So I'm not speaking as a person who's been in the service, but as a person who's a product of sports. Had I not been a sports girl and to such a level, I would have never made it to the IPS. So I want to say I also credit all my life to my sports, and the credit for my sports also goes to my parents and my coaches. So I would say this is the message for the country: that when you invest into girls and put them into sports, you can reap dividends. And that's where women power of India can be.
Absolutely, ma'am. And also, I think this is a watershed moment, like you have been pointing out, for women in sports in general. Because even if we look at the, women in blue in cricket, overnight, after that semi-final, they became a household name. Earlier, we never paid, it would be between you, me and some, sports journalists, some people who are knowledgeable about that, particular sports. But now they have become household names. So it is definitely a watershed moment in terms of women in sports.
Yes, and believe me, I do see one thing happening. Each one of them getting an Arjuna Award, each one of them getting a Padma Shri. I see that happening. Now, you see, it propels them to the highest of the places. Arjuna Award gives them a lifelong earning, lifelong support system and a pension, because it carries a lot of lifelong reward. And then these people will also make it into careers. So I think it's a very watershed where it's an inspiration for parents that sports in girls or boys, sports is not a waste. It's an investment. And our national education policy is now encouraging sports as a discipline. You can take up sports as a subject and qualify and graduate. And IITs of Delhi or IITs of the country have also announced that they will give the straight preference to champions of the Olympians and the medalists. So I think look at the kind of boost which sports is getting, and these girls, this is going to be a watershed. It will, because lots of accolades will follow. But the biggest message is India must invest and must make sure the schools must, even if you don't have a stadium close by, take them to the grounds, make them jog, go do road running, go do beach running. You don't need a closed stadium to be a champion. You can be a champion if you get into fitness. So I think India can reap now a big dividend of its bulge of women population. Women are making the change. Women are driving the change. Women are choosing transformation. So I think we have an option now. All schools, all colleges, all universities must make sure that girls have a period of voice, a period of sports. Sports must become an essential part of the day and the week. And you will see champions emerging out of it even more.
Right. Also, ma'am, do you think now it's time that we do pay more attention to women's cricket, because we haven't been paying as much attention to it as compared to when we pay attention to men's team, for example? Do you think it's time to do that? Because we saw so many players, in fact they were playing domestically. If I do take the liberty of mentioning Shafali Verma, so she was playing domestically and she was picked out of turn. She was not in the preferred list. However, due to an injury of Pratika Rawal, she was actually brought back into the squad and she proved her mettle. So I think, do you think it's time that we need to pay attention more to selections to make sure that we do not miss people who are actually really good?
That is why in my tweet message, I've credited establishment gratitude. I've credited establishment for because remember a few years ago where Mr. Shah's team, as leadership of the BCCI, they raised the level and value of women's cricket and how they decided to raise even the allowances to them. And there's another former Indian captain, Shubhangi Kulkarni, they brought her in and to also oversee the women's cricket. You see, that is why I'm giving credit to the establishment. Because without establishment support, the sports person remains left behind or weakened. So he struggles, he or she struggles. So when you have the entire establishment envisioning with you, dreaming with you, supporting you, inspiring you, and say we are behind you, that is where the credit goes to the BCCI. A few years ago, that is where they raised the level and they made men and women cricket equal. So I would say promote cricket. Yes, promote cricket, but promote sports now. Cricket, hockey, the girls are gymnastics, wrestling. All these girls are proving. Shooting, chess, table tennis, badminton. Tell me which sport have the women not outshining now? They're bringing glory and medals every day. Remember another girl who has no arms and yet won the archery? So you are proving again and again that girls are hungry to win in sports and they've got the focus, they've got the attention. We only have to now focus and invest, make everybody play, and from there you will have a nursery of champions coming up.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast and providing us with your valuable insights and perspectives into this most spectacular victory that we are discussing.
Thank you.